got Kamigawa. He's gonna talk about the mechanics, the rules, just
Yeah.
short tips on how uh, the new mechanics work in the game.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason. Yeah. This I'm going to present some of the new mechanics and returning mechanics of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Now, for a little bit of trivia, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty is the wordiest set
Mm-hmm. I heard about
now.
that.
So yeah, it
A lot
has
of
so
words.
many words. So yeah, if you guys have any judge questions, you can put them down below while I'm going through my presentation. If you have some
Judge, judge,
questions,
judge.
we can. Right, yes,
How old
yes.
are you?
I'm still in the calendar, Jers. Still in the calendar. That's what I'm gonna do. Anyway,
I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
Next
Go
slide.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. So we will talk about the returning. There's next slide.
Next slide. Okay.
Yeah, we will talk about the returning mechanics first. So channel. Channel was first introduced in Saviors of Kamigawa. It is an ability word. You can usually see them on creatures and on lands, as you can see Buseijo, who endures. This little tree was in original Kamigawa and now it's back with the same, not the same power level as the first one, but it has its own utility. Now, it's an ability word. It dodges counter magic but can be stifled, countering activated abilities. Cards with channel have activated abilities that you can use only from your hand, and discarding will always be part of the cost. If an ability has a target, you need a legal target in order to activate it. So those who want to just discard their cards to reanimate their effects, sorry, you're out of luck. Okay, so that was channel. Next, ninjutsu. Of course, they were gonna bring this back. Of course, they were gonna bring this back. You can't go back to Kamigawa without ninjutsu. Ninjutsu was first revealed in Betrayers of Kamigawa long time ago, almost 18 years ago. So essentially, ninjutsu is cost like one, like our example here, one and a blue. Return an unblocked attacking creature you control to owner's hand. Put this card into the battlefield tapped and attacking. Now there are so many things I'm gonna talk about ninjutsu, so bear with me. Looping ninjutsu. If your mana allows it, you can loop ninjutsu. Essentially, you can put one back, and if you still have mana, you can still return another one if you have the mana with it, as long as the conditions are met. Like after the combats, the declare blockers. Let's
Blockers. It's the
yeah,
blocker
I
step.
have it. So yeah, a little reminder for everyone: the combat step has 5 separate steps. Beginning of combat, declare attackers, declare blockers, combat damage, and end of combat. Ninjutsu only happens if that creature attacking was not blocked. Just make sure, let's run that, not blocked. So yeah, ending ninjutsu. Now, ninjutsu can be activated only after the declare blocker step, as long as your attacking creature was not blocked. So it can be ninjutsu during the combat damage step or end of combat. Why would someone want to do this? Essentially, even if the creature has already your creature has already hit the player, there is still a end of combat damage step where you can still ninjutsu in. It's still an attacking creature. It's still an unblocked attacking creature, so you can still ninjutsu it back. There are several reasons why you want to do this. Example, you want to preserve your creature for a board wipe later on your second main phase, stuff like that. And multiple ninjutsus. This one I learned just recently. Let's say I have 3 creatures attacking, let's say Gerson. I have 3 creatures attacking. He doesn't block. He doesn't block. Ninjutsu, the return an unblocked attacking creature is part of the cost. So essentially, I can have one ninjutsu creature out, pay the cost 3 times, return those 3 creatures back to my hand, and the ninjutsu comes in. Why you want to do that? That's up to you. And if you find some kind of tactical advantage, like let's say after hitting you do a board wipe or something. But yes, you can multiple ninjutsu. You can return as many as you can, paying the cost each time to return those creatures to your hand and putting that ninja in. Okay. Next, first strike
Yeah.
ninjutsu. Yeah, you have a
Yeah, so I want to add on that in terms of tactical advantage, I think Carlo is trying to refer to there are some creatures where you gain advantage by playing them. So basically, sometimes they have enter the
enter
battlefield
the battlefield.
effects. So those are the types of creatures that you want to use ninjutsu on. Like, for example, the Popper, fairies are very popular in that format. So you want to use your what do you call this? Your spell stutter sprite, and then ninjutsu as she attacks with the ninja of the deep arts or the latest addition. The I forgot the name of the card. That one mana ninja that was so good.
Mist blade something.
Yeah. So, and then since you have spell stutter sprite again in your hand, you can just use her again to counter your opponent's spells. So that puts you in a lot of advantage. Uh, Yo, Sir Von, gotta get a shout outs. Favorite judge and Kevin Connoisseur.
Ah,
There you go.
okay. That
Shout
is,
out to
I'll
Kevin.
allow it. Anyway, yeah,
Ah,
continuing. Thank you for that, person. Yeah.
yeah.
One reason why you would want to do that is just to like replay your enter the battlefield stuff. Okay.
Mhm.
Um,
Or you want to save them again
you
from
want to
like
save them.
certain removals or board wipes.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
if you want to stop your opponent from getting a lot of
Mhm.
advantage, or and if you think he has ninjutsu, you gotta kill him before attackers declared. So
Yeah.
beginning of combat, when beginning
Beginning
of
of combat.
combat is declared, you stop your opponent and do your thing, kill them,
Yeah.
kill the creatures.
Yeah.
Don't
It's
back Kevin.
important. Yeah, like it's important to if you have removal plan, do it before the declare blocker step, so they have no window to ninjutsu. Okay.
I'm glad we had this mechanic back. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was really
Huge
curious
one.
when I got into Popper, and then I'm like, what
Yeah.
the hell is this mechanic? It's pretty cool, and it's glad we have it here back in Kamigawa.
Ninjas.
So up
Ninjas.
next,
Yeah. Next. Yeah.
reconfigure.
Reconfigure. So, reconfigure, they enter the battlefield as artifact creatures. As artifact creatures with the subtype equipment. It's only not a creature when it's attached. You pay the reconfigure cost to attach or unattach at sorcery speed. Now, when they are attached, they lose the creature sub and super type while attached. Please note, reconfigure and equip are two different things. So when we say that equip cost 0 to cast or something, you have to be you should know the difference between equip abilities and reconfigure. Because reconfigure is not equip and equip is not reconfigure. There are two different things. But at the same time, since they are equipment, they do trigger when equipment cards matter, like Sigarda's Aid, for example. Yes, Sigarda's Aid works with reconfigure abilities. So yeah. Next, cannot attach to itself. I don't know why some people would really want to try to attach equipment to themselves. It doesn't happen. Yes, sad pure still paladin noises. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sir Bob.
Uh,
No, doesn't happen. Cannot it attach to itself. Unfortunately, some people want to try to attach equipment to themselves. It can't be done. That ability will try to resolve, but it won't. Okay. Now, it's important to note as well, if you have a equipment creature attached, you have a reconfigured creature attached to one creature and you attack, and on the second main phase, if you want to deattach it, unattach it, to have a blocker, yes, you can do that. Because an artifact, an equipment, when attached to a creature, does not tap as well. It's not tapped. So on second main phase, if you want another blocker or something to just hang back, you can just unattach Simian Sling or yeah. Another thing, any equipments and auras drop from the creature when they stop being a creature. Unless the aura being attached to the permanent says enchant target permanent or enchant target equipment, they still stay. Like best example would be the runes from Kaldheim. The runes from Kaldheim says enchant target creature or equipment, which can work with the reconfigure features. But if your aura says enchant target creature and you attach it to a another creature you control, the aura drops. Okay. Thank you. Next. Modify, one of really nice addition to the mechanics for Kamigawa. Modified. A modified creature you control is with the following: a counter, be it a +1/+1, an ability counter, or other counters. I will try to verify if it includes -1/-1 counters, but I'll check later. An equipment, if it's attached to equipment, do note it doesn't matter if the equipment is controlled by you or by an opponent as long as it has an equipment. And an aura you control. To note on this aura you control it, the flavor of modified means your creature is modified, it's upgraded in some form or fashion. So it doesn't count if your opponent puts a pacifism or a arrest to your creature. It doesn't count as modified. Only creatures can count as modified. So, for example, your vehicle has a +1/+1 counter for some reason. It will not count to the modified count. So you count each instant, each creature as modified. Now we have a question here. What happens if I mutate a creature into a reconfigured creature and attach it to another creature? It depends on. We already had this. I experienced this question also. Essentially, it will be your mutated creature. Your mutated creature is like one creature, and it has that ability. So once you reconfigure it to another creature, it gets reconfigured. Essentially, it works how it is. Your let's say what are nice mutate features? Can you give me a one mutate feature?
Auspicious Starix.
Remember
that card?
thingy? Yeah. Essentially, Sir Bob, what happens is people can correct me if I'm wrong, but what happens is if you mutate into a reconfigure feature and you attach it to another feature, it gets attached. It's the same thing. Yeah, let's say that. So let's say it's on top. Let's say it's on top or in the bottom, doesn't matter. It still gains the reconfigure ability. Since it has a reconfigure ability, it will still attach to the creature. Then it adds all of the additions you get with configure. Essentially, when you configure, all other text is irrelevant except the one on the original reconfigure feature.
You get the bonus effects from the reconfigure.
Yeah, the bonus.
You treat it as an
Essentially,
equipment.
yeah, it doesn't add to the reconfigure. Essentially,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So to recap, I think I babbled a bit. I'm sorry. When you mutate into a equipment reconfigure, when you mutate into a reconfigure, when you attach it to a creature, it still has the reconfigure, and it's still that line of text that gives a buff to your equipped creature still has it. Every other beneficial effect or any other text on the creature from mutate will not matter because it already is an equipment.
Yeah, so the way I understand is like when you reconfigure it stops being a creature and then it becomes an equipment attached to that creature.
Yeah.
So let's say I put Gem Razor as a mutate on a reality chip. So it becomes a 4/4 reach trample, and then it has all its text where you can you can look at the top and then you can reconfigure. So when you reconfigure a creature with Gem Razor, who is also a reality chip, it stops being a Gem Razor. It just becomes
Gem Razor, correct?
Yeah. Wait. Oh, a legit question though. It just popped into my mind. So when you reconfigure with Gem Razor, does it keep its name as Gem Razor as an equipment?
Does the name matter?
Yeah, sometimes.
Because
what if my opponent has Pithing Needle?
Pithing Needle. Yeah.
So do I name Reality Chip or Gem Razor? because it already has the abilities. Ah,
Nice.
very
I like
interesting.
your one. I like your question. Let me
Because I
check.
think that would matter on whoever's on the top, I believe,
Yeah. Let me
because it
check.
gains all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I believe it matters which feature is on top because
yeah. So
that's
if it's
what
Gem
it becomes.
Razor,
Mm.
since it has the ability to reconfigure, you can name Gem Razor with the
At the top,
pithing
yeah.
needle, so it doesn't reconfigure. Yeah, this is a very fun mechanic to dive into. It's not as crazy as the Urza Saga with the Blood Moon effects. Like that was like super confusing for the first few weeks.
Mm. So yeah, good
This one was
question,
very easy,
Wilson. Really
but
good
very
question.
interesting nonetheless.
Especially if your opponent has like pithing needle and things like that. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
Right,
Modify.
modified.
Let's modify. No, that was
Thanks for the
reconfigure.
question, Sir Bobby. That was pretty good.
Forward. Yeah.
Forward. Sagas, everyone's favorite
Sagas. Here we
card.
go. Yeah. Double face sagas are back, but with a new twist. They are now double face. These sagas operate as normal. They enter the battlefield with a lower counter, and they start at the start of main phase one. You add a lower counter, so it functions as normal. But when we reach to the last chapter, which is the last chapter of the saga exiles itself. It comes back as an enchantment feature. So yeah, usually at the end of each saga, you sacrifice it due to the state-based action of having lore counters equal to its chapters. But this ability happens first before the state-based actions is checked, so it disappears, comes back as the enchantment feature. Now,
I think it's the same with Urza Saga, I believe.
correct.
That's why you can put the trigger on the stack before you
Yes,
sacrifice
yes.
it on the
Yep.
third saga. The third
That is-
chapter.
That's the third chapter. That is correct. You can still do some bananas in between. So, in every other zone, it still counts. It is an enchantment saga. When it's in your hand, it's an enchantment saga. In every other zone, is enchantment saga. You always look at the front face. Next is the transform saga has the mana value and color of its front face, but it does not contribute to devotion since there is
Oh,
no
really?
pips there. Yeah, it does not contribute to devotion because there are no pips you see on the upper right if it's already the enchantment feature.
So the symbols
Um,
matter when it
Yeah,
comes to
if
the
that matters. Other notes on these sagas is, of course, when they exile and come back, they do have summoning sickness, so they cannot attack right away. Unless there was that one saga that's red that has haste, of course, that's the only exception because it has haste. Next is there's a equipment in the set called the Eater of Virtue. There was
Eater
a
of
question, Eater of Virtue or something. It was a sword equipment, a actual equipment. There was a question if, let's say, for example, this Hand of Enlightenment has first strike, and you have the Eater of Virtue attached to it, and the hand of the enchantment saga creature dies. Excuse me. Does it gain the ability with the third what you call this paragraph of Eater of Virtue? It does not, because once exile the creature gets exiled in the exile zone, it comes back to being a saga, so it does not gain the ability of it. Now another one is there's a card in the set, the mirror shaped crab that has a channel ability that stifles an ability. Now, mirror, I don't forget the name. Mirror something. Mirror shaped crab. The crab. I have it here. What's that? The crab.
mirror. That's for
Mirror.
mirrors. Table of mirror breaker.
No. Scroll down.
Mirror box.
No. Where is
It's a
that
saga?
crab? There. Mirror shell. There.
Mirror shell crab.
Mirror shell
Okay.
crab.
Oh, this
Okay.
busted common.
It's busted common.
Three mana,
For
mana lane.
for those playing limited, you will for sure encounter this card. What happens when you channel and counter the ability of the exile of the saga? What happens is the exile will not happen and the saga will get sacrificed due to state-based actions. So yeah, just a note.
All right, we got a question from Sir Anthony.
Okay.
Why isn't a
isn't
mutated
new
creature
creature
considered modified?
Okay. Essentially, Sir Anthony, I think it's more of a lore question here because mutate isn't really a modification as to a genetic mutation, I guess. Yeah. Uh, give me a sec, George. I have to take a call. Give me 1 second.
Wait, what? Carlo just ditched on me. Ah! Anyways, I think I could try to answer that. I may not be a judge, but to the best of my knowledge, it was already explained in one of the videos in MTG YouTube where
I'm back. Sorry.
yeah, okay, Carlos back. So, where modified creatures like what we've seen earlier in the oops, I skipped a bit. Where was that? The modified creatures are basically creatures with +1/+1 encounters, equipments, or auras.
Yeah.
So when you say mutated, it's not in one of those categories. So that's my
the
guess.
technical question.
Your guess is as
That's
good
the
as mine.
technical answer, but essentially, when you mutate, it doesn't come. It doesn't. You don't add on it. It becomes something else. Essentially, modified is you add something on it, while mutate is your creature becomes something else. Essentially, but the technical is these are the part of the rules. So yeah. Yep,
So hope
yep.
that answers your question, Sir Anthony. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Move on na ta?
Yeah, move on.
Vehicles. They're back
They're back.
again, and they're very pushed in this set. So we're gonna
Very
talk about
much. There's a lot of really cool vehicles. Now, Kamigawa is set 2,000 years after the original events of the first Kamigawa. So we have cyberpunk, we have steampunk, and all of those punky punks. So yeah, we have mechs. We have hover bikes. We have so many things. Sakit mo. Anyway, vehicles function the same typically as before, but with a little exception. Later down, vehicle is an artifact type. They are artifacts until they are crewed, which they become artifact features. The power toughness printed on the card does not matter until they are crewed. So if you say, let's say Coco, you cannot get a vehicle from that because it is not a feature, and it doesn't have not a feature. Wrong point, but yeah. Becomes crewed means when the crew ability resolves. There are only 2 cards in the set that has this line that needs when the crew ability resolves, and Mind Lake Mech is one of them. So it needs to resolve. The vehicle cannot crew itself. Shout out to Tito Tani for asking this random question. If a vehicle can crew in himself, no, they cannot.
unless it's an artifact creature.
Yeah. No, let's say, for example, the Mind Lake Mech is already an artifact creature.
That
Can
can't
it
crew
crew
itself.
itself?
Okay.
Yeah. Some people would like it for just to tap it or something, just to find a way to tap it. Tito Tani is in the mindset of EDH, so he's finding little intricacies. So
no, this was a good point to bring up because this was mentioned in the latest rules in the Oracle, because they updated it where when they posted that blog about Kamigawa designing Kamigawa, this you were able to do this before they released the set. When they released the set, they made the announcement that you cannot crew vehicles by themselves
anymore,
because what's the point?
Why?
so they took it out. But before
So,
you can.
you can before
Yeah.
before Neon
Before
Dynasty
the
you
set came out.
can whatever purpose it served you, sure, but now
Yeah.
they added to the comprehensive rules that you can.
Yeah. They they
There's actually go ahead.
they definitely added it because I remember reading that article and I was like, wow, people were definitely thinking about this. I
Yeah.
guess the the mechanic is definitely pushed. So
Hmm,
they
exactly, like
there were probably some people who were catching up to that those weird uh
in the
what do you call
interactions,
this?
like
Because
yeah.
if
I
you
was
take the
thinking like okay.
mind link mech example, like why would you crew itself just turn back to a vehicle?
Yeah,
If that's how I understood the rules, it gets more
it
confusing, right? Like,
well, when you think about it, doesn't make sense anymore. That's why they had to add that line.
I mean, it becomes a 4-3, I guess,
Yeah.
but
I guess
it's
it's
super redundant.
I guess it's in preparation for these kind of abilities, because before it doesn't, like, there were no abilities that triggered when it was screwed. Now we
Mm-hmm.
have, so I'm guessing, like, let's say na let's screw this thing, then screw it again with its own self just to have the trigger. So they're just making sure things in the future don't make it more jumbled up or more confusing. Anyway, yeah.
Yep.
Next,
Next,
next
shrine as
shrine.
well.
Okay. This is not actually a mechanic, but there's a lot of questions already popping out. I had to address this as well. For shrines, they are coming back for Kamigawa. The first shrines did come out in the original Kamigawa. There was another printing of a set of shrines in M10, M20, or M21.
Yeah,
So yeah,
M21.
M21, yeah. So shrines, they are now legendary enchantment creatures. Shrine is not a creature type. Just to make that perfectly clear for everyone, shrine is not a creature type. It is an enchantment type. So these shrines you find in Neon Dynasty are actually a rare breed of creature that don't have creature type. They don't have a creature type. They're just legendary enchantment creature. Hmm.
Yeah, we had
Shrine,
cards before where they didn't have feature types. I
um,
forgot. Can you name an
uh,
example? Like I remember there
um,
were artifact features that didn't have feature types.
before artifact creatures were just artifact creatures, they didn't have a
Yeah,
creature
yeah.
type, but
Basically
each one was
every
erratic.
old artifact features, and then they just turned them into constructs or whatnot.
Give me a second.
Guys, we need more questions. Carlos like running out of ideas.
No, don't. Comment down below, guys, if you guys know a creature without a creature type. But I'm not really sure if there's any other. I did a quick search. There isn't any. Siguro if it goes through some convoluted, this becomes a creature and all that bananas. So yeah. So these shrines are not creature types. Shrines is not creature type. It's an enchantment type.
So
Dili
hindi
ma-metallic
metallic mimic
correct
ang
mechanics,
shrine.
yes. Yes, Tanix, they
Yeah,
can
yeah, you can.
actually,
It's not a
they
creature type.
can. Because Shrine is an
You can say it's
enchantment
shrine.
type. You can attempt to name Shrine, but it won't because it's not a valid creature type.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll just have a lot of headaches with your fellow judges in the event.
Morph is not a creature type. Yeah,
Okay,
Morph.
okay. Hey,
Yeah,
Sherwin. Hello.
Morph makes sense.
Welcome to the stream.
It's a creature. It doesn't have feature. It's just a feature. Yeah.
All right. That's interesting.
Next, I think it's the end. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And always remember, always cast Thoughtseize turn 1.
And you see 7 lands.
Yeah, and draw 7 lands. Anyway, there are.
Thanks, Carlo. Thank you so
yeah.
much for that. That was very insightful, even for me, because there are like some mechanics that like need to be talked about. Like we need to have a healthy discussion on these mechanics because otherwise, we just end up babbling with, especially in events where you get to interact with them for the first time, and then you're just
That's true.
bedazzled by how you weren't able to understand how the mechanics work, and then the judge is like, "Nope, this is how it works," and then whoops, you lost the game. Yeah, I was
That's
ready for
true.
that. So we got a
That's
confirmation from Sherwin, typeless
Yeah, thank
creature,
you, Sir Sherwin.
ang more. All right. Thank you for the insight.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. So, any last words before we move on to our closing remarks
Yeah.
with some announcements?
Yeah, there are two features that I wanted to talk about, but we couldn't squeeze it in because we might be over our time. There are two legendary features that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't include it because time constraint. If you guys have questions about Ishin of the two Heavens as One, forgot the name. Sorry, I'm butchering it. There are two. That was the first one, the Mardu Samurai that doubles attacking triggers. So note guys, it is attacking. So things like whenever it becomes tap, it's not an attacking. What you call this? Some ninjutsu creatures that say attacking and not block. No, it doesn't count also. Um, there was that ability in Hour of Devastation. I can't remember. There's afflict. Thank you, afflict.
Afflict.
Afflict. Yeah, afflict doesn't count on attack. It counts on if it's blocked. So yeah, there are some
That's
things
from
that
Among Ket or Hour of Devastation?
from Hour of Devastation.
Mm.
Those Lazotep zombies thingy. Yeah, and the other one whose name I forgot. The one that minus you get a minus you get a discount for each target and opponent gets a tax for each target spell. Yeah. If you have any questions about those, feel free to contact me for any clarification because those two cards have been really talked about since they were spoiled. So yeah, it's kind of kubot. Yeah. So if you guys have any judge questions, you can put it down below in the comment section or message me directly. I'll be glad to answer your questions.
Nice. Thank you so much, Carlo. All right, we're moving on to the announcements.